Live. Hey everybody. This is James Hunting from Pixel Plays, and on mic with me is Taylor Tate.
Hello.
And what we're gonna do, this is kind of impromptu. I know this isn't to our normal schedule, but two things happened in recent history, and one of them is that we're at our 999th Twitch viewer. So we wanted to do something fun for that. So we are. And that's actually Taylor. Taylor should be the 1,000th as of right now. So, yay!
I'm throwing confetti in the air, I promise.
Yay! We'll take pictures of that confetti on the floor later, so y'all know we're not lying. And then the other thing is that Star Citizen went from 1.1.0, which was really, like, I don't want to say it was unplayable, but the demands on the system were just insane up until that point. And in between the 1.1.0 patch and the 1.1.1 patch, the RAM requirements came down by 80%, which is crazy. And then the video RAM requirements came down by a pretty considerable margin as well. So the game went from running only on super high-end systems to running pretty well on most of them. So that's exciting. And to celebrate that, I spent more money on this game. And I actually upgraded from what I had before, which was like this sort of middle-range fighter, the 325 by Origin, which is like a really solid fighter, to the one in the game that's the pinnacle. And this is the Anvil Super Hornet, and yes, this is the most expensive version of the most expensive fighter. But a lot of the reason why I was willing to do that is because they've just added pilotable, inhabitable turrets into the game. So this is one of the few ships that is flyable currently that has one, and you can actually see it up here. It's that big nasty set of 2 3-barrel guns. And the way that this ship functions, it's got a front seat and a back seat. I can't really get into the back seat without someone in the front seat, but the back seat can control the guns and then also controls standard things that a back seat would in a fighter of today, as well as crazy things in this game like shields. So I just kind of wanted to show that off initially. We're going to be flying that a little bit later here. And I'm also going to be talking a little bit about the two early range, sort of lowest cost fighters, which I have both of. So this is my ATV. And I'm about to roll that. Just letting you know. Look at that two-wheel. Look at that. Okay, this time I really am gonna roll.
Last time you said you were going to jump something and all you did was end up rolling it.
Bam! So yeah, this time instead of doing that, I decided to be a little less ambitious and decide to start with rolling it. And then also break physics. Look at my little golf cart. It doesn't even have axles yet. Oh, that's cute. Alright. So, I may or may not have spent $15 on one of those. I did. So this is one of the other two starting craft. This is the RSI Aurora, which is it was actually sort of the flagship of the game. It was the first ship that they showed. And it's intended to be light mercantile. You can stick your cargo in this little area here. There are cargo boxes that are specifically made to fit in there. And then also this is one of the sort of few ships in the game as it stands right now that has a bunk. And yeah, I am going to get the bunk because it's a functional bunk in a game, so I have to. And
This is a shameless nerd plug, but something I'll be in my bunk.
Yeah, exactly. But I will be. I will be in my bunk. I'm in my bunk right now.
I feel dirty using that, but
Yeah. Well, and you know, it's gonna get better when I show you the other bunk in the other starter ship. Now, I don't. Where did my body go? What am I doing? Am I stuck? Oh, this is definitely still an alpha, guys. It is, but it's a damn pretty alpha. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna hop in the third ship that we have, and we're gonna take it for a spin, and then we're gonna talk about some physics. And actually, one of the main reasons I wanted Taylor here for it is because Taylor is a big Battlestar Galactica fan.
there's only like 5 of us.
Yeah,
total
right.
Battlestar Galactica fans in the world.
As I understand it, it's actually one of the like nerd world's least favorite TV shows, in the sense that every human being ever loves it, including people that aren't nerds. So
it's The Wire for nerds. Have you seen The Wire? You should watch The Wire.
I need to watch The Wire. You should watch The Wire. And you know what? I have not seen The Wire.
I haven't either.
Yeah, so wow. Okay. But yeah, Battlestar Galactica. You should probably watch Battlestar Galactica. Except you should definitely quit halfway through the last season. You'll be a happier person. I think maybe even earlier than that, actually. I think maybe even like before they get to the planet that they like hang out on. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, the camp one where they're the prison.
Yeah.
That one.
The colony. Like I feel like.
Yeah, that was. I think that was during a weird period of like. I mean, that wasn't strikes. They were just trying to do something different with the show. There was something weird that they ended up. I felt like correcting, like getting back on course into what the show originally was, but the plot did get a little bit beyond, a little bit like kind of reality pushing a little bit, but not in terms of like spaceflight stuff. Just like story stuff was like, you know, it's this way because it is.
Yeah. It just got a little off the rails. I think they lost momentum during the writer's strike, and I think they never got it back.
Well, maybe the first show they did that.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. So this is the Mustang, which is the other starter ship, and it's pretty angular. It's pretty sharp looking. I really like the cockpit though. I'm gonna go into mouse look for a second so we can. That's not mouse look. Oh my god, this game. The controls in this game are mind-bogglingly confusing. It's caps lock. It's not caps lock. It's not tab. It's not left shift. It's not left control. All right, we're gonna look it up really quick. So I don't use mouse look in this game very much for one major reason. And that would be the HUD focus. The major reason that I don't use mouse look is because there's not really anything to interface with in the cabin yet. In some of the ships you have like a HUD that pops up and you can choose some options on your HUD. But as you can see right now, I'm looking around with mouse look and I can't interface with anything. So what you can see is what I think is a duplicate of Thrustmaster's like Warthog joystick on that end and a throttle, so that's fun. But yeah, so this cockpit, the view in this thing is amazing. I mean, you can see in all directions. Obviously, the problem with that is that, you know, once they punch through your shields, you have no protection to speak of. And we're gonna actually see later in a fight if I can get in trouble with that. And so, Taylor, is there anything you want me to like talk about? Do you have any questions about this right now?
I do not.
Okay, I kind of want to do this like you are the audience, so that like the questions that I won't think to answer, like if you come up with any, just let me know on the fly, because I've been messing around with this game long enough that I kind of have it wrapped in my head. So what you're seeing right now is how floaty mouse look is when you use it to pilot, and I don't like it. I do currently use a combination of And that, by the way, you saw that vibration that was from that drilling laser that I was near. But so the flight stick and throttle that I have has independent yaw and then also has the ability to do a strafe. And I'm not going to say that you need something like that in this game, but I will say that the more maneuverability that you can have for yourself, the better off you'll be, because people in this game are ludicrous. So the next thing I kind of want to talk about is the new landing system that they also added in 1.1.1. And so what I just did was I activated the landing system, and as you can see, this little ticker on the HUD in the pad in front of me just popped up. And there are two modes. There's manual and there's automated. And I'm going to show automated because I really thought that I would do everything manually in this game, but this is how easy it is to land in automated. So that's that. So I just flew into the zone and requested it, and bam. It lands you super fast. It's not as clean or as pretty looking as a manual landing, but there you go. So this is what happens when you're in space and you climb out of your seat. You just hit the function button. So we've got a really alpha game going on right now. One of the known bugs in the Mustang, which is what I'm in, is that when you get out of the seat, the door doesn't open in time. So it bugs out a little bit, but then pop down and you are your EVA. So this kind of gives you a scale of the ship. And one of the other cool things you can do right now in EVA is pull your gun out and poop at stuff. The game has a very realistic sort of aiming mechanism. Note how floaty that is. It's floaty because I was just moving. There's this system where you can breath. Fire ADS. Note how wide those shots can go. Crouching does seem to affect a little bit. The FPS mode isn't in this game yet. I'm also going to show you some of the damage models in this game really quick. Yeah, this is more durable. I've done this before with some of the other ships, and they just like fall apart on you. So I'm wondering if this guy is just... Oh, so as you can see, I actually overheated the gun. And I'm waiting for that to cool back down. Oh, while I'm waiting for that to cool back down, Taylor, do you have any thoughts or questions or anything like that?
Well, I mean, just when you were mentioning about how there's the control hold breath mechanism, it looks like they have some solid, some solid elements. I would not call it a bottom line or a platform yet, yeah. But they've got some elements of what they're going to do with the first-person shooter mode, because one thing I've always been kind of concerned about with this game is that them trying to do too much. Yeah. But I think because of them taking their, in this case, literal sweet-ass time doing everything, they might not muck that up too bad.
Right. Well, and one of the things that makes me feel a little bit better about it is the fact that you've got an entire dedicated studio working on the first-person elements. There are something like 3 studios working on Star Citizen right now. And so I think what I've seen of the FPS mode, which actually should be releasing later this month, if not next month, is pretty exciting. Now see, note this is the zero gravity EVA. And I do have, the ability to do whatever I want. I'm actually trying to figure out, like, can I fire in 0G? It is not letting me fire in 0G. That's interesting. But note that the gun is much more steady in 0G. Okay. So, you can control yourself the same way that you control your ship in EVA. I don't see any cool little, like, RCS thrusters on the suit, but hopefully those are coming. But that is what I'm doing. And then you hit gravity and you get an awkward little animation. So all of the first-person animations are still kind of Funky note, when I ADS, when I'm crouching, I stand up and look like an idiot. So I'm gonna go back inside the Mustang and show off what I really do think is like the thing for me that has the most amount of like nerd appeal in this game, and that's living quarters in your ships. Yeah. So that's a toilet. There's a toilet on my ship. There's a sink on my ship. There's a fire extinguisher on my ship. I'm wondering if at some point I'll be able to pick up the fire extinguisher and extinguish a fire on my ship. There's a little microwave.
Or take the fire extinguisher outside and use it to like propel yourself around.
Right, yeah, well, see, the things that we're gonna do in this game, I'm really excited about all this. You got your little clothes locker that currently has a weird interior texture. I don't know what's happening in there. That really does not look as much like a clothes locker as it does a meat locker, but we'll deal with it. I'm really mad at this point I can't flip that table up because that looks comfy as all hell. Look at those little pillows. And then you've got that. I don't know what that is, but it looks really important. It looks like it's something that I'm gonna need. I need to stay clear of it, is what that's telling me. Sweet little TV that I can't get over this to watch. No, I'm gonna bug the game out. But so that sort of thing right there is what I'm most excited about in this game, is just like the little elements of realism like that. And so, speaking of realism, this is probably the thing about Star Citizen that's the most exciting overall, and it's the physics in space. So, and let's get off mouse, please. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna give a demonstration of the flight physics model in the game. So note that, I don't know if that audio came through, but essentially that was, the ship does have a delay before the shields raise, and you can do things like manually turn those off. There's a little symbol in the lower right corner here that says IR, and it's in the 5s and ambient, and it's in the 20s, and that's your signal strength. So when that's high, it's easier for ships to target you. They can target you at longer ranges. And they can also, it's easier for them to lock on to you with missiles. So note, as I turn less, note that that's going down. And that's just because I'm propelling along my course. But the second I turn, my RCS thrusters fire, and my profile goes higher. So that's one of the neat things about the way the game sort of handles that. And then also, this ship has crazy RCS thrusters. They're all green and like crazy, and just I don't know. That's really cool to me. So note also this little gauge in the center here. It's to the left of the crosshairs. Right now it reads 200. So pull back on the throttle to 0. Obviously you're doing 0. One of the things that does when you pull the throttle down in this game, it automatically engages a brake. That brake is also engageable in combat via an input, so you can be going forward and hit that brake, and if you actually hit that brake and cut throttle at the same time, you slow down faster than if you just slow down. I don't actually know who's telling me I was going to slow down to. One of the sort of true realistic factors, the faster you're going, the harder it is for your ship to turn. So you can turn at full speed, do a 180, and you'll note that, first of all, you heard the pilot stress out a little there. I was G'ing myself out a little bit. But you'll note, if you watch the throttle control here, that what I'm doing in that 180, I actually am firing the engines the entire time, so it's like a tiny little gradual, like it's a really fast loop, but it's still a loop with thrust to it. So you are pushed when you turn, you're pushed along the course. You can see there's a little circular indicator here that shows you the center of thrust. So well, it's really more the center of your inertia. It's the direct path that your ship is traveling, not the path your ship is pointing. So it's pointing here. I'm still sort of traveling down and then forward again. So that is because of their dedication to Newtonian physics. Now all of this brings me to what I think is absolutely the coolest thing about this game, and like the first thing that really perked my ears up, and the thing I'm most excited about, which is a decoupled flight mode. So in Battlestar Galactica, Taylor, what's the coolest thing that happens in dogfights in Battlestar Galactica?
You'll see, usually it's the Vipers are being tailed by a Cylon fighter or whatever, and the pilot of the Viper will spin the nose of the Viper around so it's facing backwards while still continuing to fly, while still continuing to move along the same line, and just shred the ship behind it with its frontal cannons.
Right, so like this. So what
keep in mind, I am on a delay as I'm talking to you on Steam, but the Twitch feed is...
Sure, I gotcha. I was doing it while
Okay, yeah, oh yeah, I just saw it, yeah, okay.
So, I mean, essentially what you do, I've got it bound to... I've got the two easiest to access buttons on my throttle bound to space brake, because it's very useful when you're being tailed, and then also the decoupled mode. And it really makes a difference in combat. Like when you decouple, as you can see by the dust that's passing the ship, and then also when I go to the external mode, like I am flying in the exact direction that I was before, and if something is pursuing me, I can shred it, and then I can immediately re-engage that, and then duck towards them. And that's the flashiest version of the maneuver that you can do. But one of the things that I've found sort of useful, I've been able to employ it a couple of times. Let's say that there is a target that is to the left of the large asteroid that I am passing right now, and he's heading straight in that way. I can essentially strafe, firing at him while doing that. I have cover, but then all of a sudden I'm out of his line of fire. You can use it around obstacles to be just incredibly elusive. Something is following me around this corner. It doesn't expect me aiming back at it. It's a really responsive system. It's really easy to use, and this game there's sort of a concern in this game that the more powerful fighters are the more effective ones. And I will agree that the Super Hornet is a beast. Like, I've taken it into combat a couple of times, and it's a monster. It's got a lot of firepower. But it's a larger craft. It doesn't turn as tight. And when it does turn, you'll note this shit, like, in the span of time it takes for the center of inertia to snap around to the center of the craft isn't actually that long. So I turn, that was roughly 90 degrees, I'm going in this direction now. If I did that in a Super Hornet, it'd take a little bit more time. So there are things that you can do in these like lighter crafts like this, involving this center of thrust, that can really change the way that the game plays. And that, again, to me, that's just the coolest thing ever. Taylor, do you have any thoughts or comments on that?
Well, I will say the idea of that maneuver being so cool. It is that way because in Battlestar Galactica it always works out well for the human pilot.
Yeah.
There never seems to be the Cylon waiting to just like pull the trigger once it turns around. The enemy always seems to be like, what? Now the ship's facing backwards. My trigger's now not engaged. Right. So it'd be interesting to see. You can do versus AI and versus players to see how each of those groups respond to that maneuver.
Yeah.
Because certainly like having like spin around a corner when the ship comes around, that'll work well. But I don't think the whole like someone's on your 6, you spin and then suddenly you've won the fight. I don't think that's gonna work as well as at least I kind of dreamt that it would be. Not that I've dreamt about Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, or anymore being a fighter pilot in space. And this game isn't
never
conceivably going to be the delivery and fruition of all the dreams that I've had from the time that I was 6. Reading the Michael A. Stackpole X-Wing Star Wars books. That is exactly what's happening. So, one of the things that you make a very good point about that maneuver. Like, it's a cool flight model. Is the maneuver always going to be effective? No. And is it always going to fool things? No. What I do find that it does against human players understand it, but a lot of times when they're trailing you, they don't get it for just a couple of seconds. Like, you have a little bit of an advantage because when you're going head-to-head, there's a lot of juking around to make sure that you're not on a straight line to get hit. But when they're tailing you, sometimes they're not thinking about that. They're just thinking, like, I'm tailing, I'm going to get a really good shot off. Here's the other problem with the maneuver. You pull it in close quarters like that, and you're firing at something, and you forget that there's an asteroid behind you, and that happens. So that in particular, I mean, I don't know that all the maps in this game are gonna. And Jesus, as you can see, you hit an asteroid and you just can't right yourself to save your life. I'll be interested to see if the other maps are this way, but if the stuff in the alpha is any indication, there's a lot of debris floating around right here. There's a lot of stuff you have to deal with. And so, not being in... When you're in a decoupled mode, you really have no control over anything except your orientation. And that in a space like this, it doesn't have to be an asteroid that big. There are tons of things around here to hit. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take it into some versus AI fights really quick, and then we're gonna finish up with some multiplayer. One more thing I do want to do before I kick out of this, though, they've added a couple more options that I actually really like. So you'll note when I trigger the coupled mode, there is a piece of text that is to the right of the HUD that says coupled. When you hit that button, it turns off. That's, that HUD indicates that. Underneath it is something called GSafe and ComStab. And that stands for, essentially, GSafe is whether or not you are allowing your ship to turn as tight as it can. Is the ship protecting you from Gs? Are you safe from Gs that you're pulling? And so you can turn that off and whip around a lot tighter and do a lot crazier maneuvers. Now, you can't really see it here because I'm not doing a lot of crazy stuff, and this isn't the most maneuverable one. But so there's something else called ComStab, which is command mode stability. And ComStab is something that affects how stable your turn is. So when you're going through like a turn with it off, your turn is very tight and it's very clean and it's as efficient as it can be. But it's not as tight as it could. More efficient, and you tend to be moving along in a straight line or in like a really gentle curving arc. When you turn both those off, your ship is more maneuverable, and you can't really notice in this because this isn't a terribly serious ship in terms of speed, but you can black yourself out, and I might be able to do it in one of the other ones later. But I really like that because it lets you make a decision between whether you want to seriously like risk a crazy maneuver and black out or not. So I'm gonna kick back to the hangar on that really quickly. And doing that in one of the more maneuverable crafts like the Aurora, I blacked out on that once, doing a turn that was too tight. And that's something, especially because all the ships that you're seeing in this are really stock. As you start upgrading your thruster systems and start upgrading your engines, that's going to become like more and more of a thing that you have to deal with. So. Do you have any questions or comments, Taylor? Anything you want to raise or?
No, not yet. Not yet. I'm curious to see how they and so the AI mode obviously it's it's wave based. Have they made any changes to that recently?
They added.
Or is it just always just gonna be like these same types of enemies you're gonna be going up against in just wave based mode?
So I certainly since the last time you played it, when we did the stream for it back when it was in like I guess pre-alpha, good lord. Initially it was one type of fighter, and that one type of fighter was the Vandal Scythe, and they've added another one. I want to say it's a saber, but that might not be correct. Let me see if I can. No, they're only showing me the ships that I have in the holo table. Okay, so they've added multiple types of enemy fighters. 2 as it stands right now. They've added a slew of actual online multiplayer. So initially it was just the drone mode. But then again within the drone mode they've added elite pilots. And those elite pilots are in better ships, upgraded ships, and their AI is better. So that's really the major change that they made in the drones.
And can players upgrade their ships yet, or is it simply just AI that can do that? Because I know there's not like a, economy yet, or missions for that matter.
They've started with that. They've actually, you can purchase in the upgrade store. You can purchase certain weapons, certain engines, certain turrets, and then also they've got a system where if you play online multiplayer, you earn currency called REC, which will allow you to rent not only ships, which is actually how I currently have that Mustang. That's a rental. And you can also rent weapons. So you can try them out. You just play some multiplayer, earn enough currency, rent it, see if you like it, and then you can buy it. And at this point, everything is still real-world currency except the rental stuff. But yeah, you can upgrade your weapons. One of the things that I'm kind of confused about, and I guess it's just because I don't have any extras. I was wondering if I could like take the quad missile turret off of the Aurora that I have and put it on the Super Hornet that I have. But I have yet to. I haven't really seen how I can do that, and I think that's because you can't do it actually in the game. You're still doing everything from the online menu on the website, and I don't have anything extra. So I might explore that a little bit later. If I'm gonna wait for something to go on sale, because I mean whatever it is, I'll probably use it later anyway, and I'll definitely explore that. So this is the interior of the Super Hornet. And it makes me happy because it looks like the inside of an X-Wing.
Vandal Swarm initiated.
Yeah, alright, so those
Warning, there are multiple hostiles inbound.
pilots. Oh my god, this thing rolls so much faster than the other ones do. We might actually get to see me G out a little. So what you just saw there was some stutter.
Incoming enemy!
And that stutter is from the game's engine is really not optimized yet. Every single time a missile goes off, and every single time anything warps in. So warp in or missiles going off, you got a problem. We'll notice it in a second because I'm about to drop some missiles on this guy. I'm gonna wait to fire on him until I'm close enough that I don't have to worry about those. So you can see those in the red triangles in the map. And both of them, yeah, he evaded the boat. There's so many more cannons on this than any of the other ships in this game right now. Like, I love it, but it makes me feel dirty every time I use it. So all three of these are on a different weapon slot, and as you can see in the top left corner of the HUD here, you've got G1, G2, and G3. So Sorry, I'm going to be flying a little clumsily because I'm trying to look around the HUD and talk about stuff. But notice I can adjust the individual power of the weapons. Power to weapons changes the damage. Oh, that was my shield. Change my the recharge rate of the
Zero
weapons.
hostile contacts
Damage.
remaining.
And note that you've got heat on both of those.
Warning. There are multiple hostiles
I
inbound.
can't really decide what I want to do here. I guess I'll pump the bulldogs up and I'll see how tough those are. I haven't messed around with that. Also, the HUD above it, you'll note the shields. So what I'm doing right now is I'm playing around. I've got that mapped to the hat on my joystick, and I can inflate forward shields at the cost of the other's side. That's useful for obvious reasons. But then you get into a furball, and you definitely want to balance it back out. And that's another independent. It kills things so fast. I don't know what to do.
Hostile destroyed.
And note that my wingman is named Vixen. Have we talked about that yet?
No.
That makes me really. I didn't name my wingman that. It's just my wingman's named Vixen. For the internet, that's the name of my Siamese. Jesus, that was really close to hitting that asteroid. So, what we saw right there was the danger of a ship that doesn't turn on a dime, because I had to skate like crazy and just guess what I had to do to get out of the path of that asteroid. Jesus, doing it again! Whew. That shit is stressful.
When you destroy a ship, does wreckage remain afterwards that
Yes.
that can become a hazard to run into?
Yes. And it's not actually just when you just. So you see that right there? I'm going to pass by some of it
Yeah.
in a little bit here. Put it in the screen. I'm not going to tap it, but I could have. And you kind of don't want to do that. That's one of the reasons why you really don't want to be right behind something when you take it out. Because I have absolutely shredded myself on wreckage. That happens a lot more in multiplayer because the AI in this tends to not allow you to get too close to it. So I haven't really been playing with that spin maneuver yet. Nothing's gotten super close to me. I start fluctuating a little bit. I use it a lot, not so much on crazy turns, but I use it a lot when not when something's pursuing me, but when something is like about to make a pass on me.
En route.
If we fly really close to each other, usually what I'll do instead of turning, which costs you just a little bit of time. Oh, so pause. No, there's a target in there called Little King. That is an elite unit, so we want to address him first because he's upgraded and might have missiles. Okay, so that said, when something makes a really close pass on me, instead of spinning around and like wasting inertia changing my course, which would put me not at much of a disadvantage, but at just a little bit of a disadvantage, because I'm changing course relative to him, I'll just spin around, wait until I've got a 180 rotation, I'll decouple, and then I'll spin around and do a 180 rotation, and then recouple, so that I'm literally on the same course that I was on when it happened. And that's a little thing in this game. That's like a little sort of a min-max, but it's the sort of thing I think in the long run is going to be like really effective in the multiplayer. I think he may have actually run into that beam. Oh, see that? His tail came off right there, and I almost smacked right into that.
Hostile destroyed.
Oh, I didn't get that. So one thing I do have a little complaint about is that the colors, the enemy colors on the HUD are not intense enough, and I'll sometimes lose it, the little arrow floating around in the side of the screen. Two out. I want one of these to hit once. It you'll know. I don't know if you saw it when I dropped the one in on the Little King guy, but sometimes if the missile can get close enough but it won't hit, it will detonate at a distance, and it will do reduced damage, but it won't swing right past it and miss. And that all depends on how good your missile is, how good your targeting system is, and how low their profile is.
And is it simply are missile types simply based upon like what the ship has, or is it kind of like an Eve system where you buy different munitions for like ballistic type weapons?
So there are different classes of launch. There are different sizes, different classes, and then different enemies. So you can buy missiles that are. And excuse me, some of this is not, it's not hypothetical, but some of this is not implemented in the game yet, but it is written out and specified as part of developer plan. So you'll have missiles that are faster, that are slower but track better, that have larger, smaller kill radii, etc. So these are okay. One of the things that I've noticed that I think is kind of odd is that, I don't know what he did there, he must have dropped countermeasures on those. One of the things that I noticed was kind of odd is that the quad missile rack that I have on the Aurora, those are fast as hell and have a huge kill radius. And this one has 8, but the missiles never feel to me like they're gonna hit. So, that's actually another note to point out. This game, I think, people that are good instinctual pilots, I think are going to be good at this game. But I think the people that are going to be great are going to be the people that understand how to use the environment against the enemy. How to lure them close to like physical threats in the environment, like that drill. How to slam them into that was a good time to use that decouple, and I did that right. How to slam them into asteroids, you know, how to approach a fight in like a tactically sound manner, approaching through cover, and I think people that work together also will probably be in a much more advantageous position. Jesus. I think half of his ship just bounced off my shields.
Good shields.
Yeah, yeah, they are. Oh, see, yeah, by the way. Did you need that? I think you needed that. Probably. I like how many guns this thing has. I want everything. What? Okay, so he slammed into something and he's out of control right now. And that's a really good example of why he just cannot afford to hit anything, because he's still out of control. He was in that
0 hostile contacts remaining.
Taking fire!
I actually need to balance those out a little bit.
Warning.
Okay.
There are multiple hostiles inbound.
So you can also in World Combat, this is what you're looking at right now is in the HUD are different fire groups. So you can change around what trigger does what. If you want to load your ship out so that you have, you know, a couple of really long range weapons and then a couple of like close range weapons. I'm hoping at some point there's a space shotgun that I can put on one of these. You can do that. Power allocation allows you to move. It's more complicated than the system just for weapons. So power allocation to Group 1. Group 1 is listed as my weapon system. So that's the total amount of power I can allocate to weapons is to G1 right now. The other is the sensors. Actually, I'm sorry. I think the second one is that's my missile launcher, my chaff launcher, and then the third is engines and shields. And I could arrange that around so I have, you know, more than the 3. So optimizing that balance is something, you know, you're going to want to do based on what you're going up against. And and then optimizing it in between the weapons you have is important. I generally find that balance is better, but like in a little bit here, I'm going to have taken enough damage that I'm going to lose one of the cannon systems. If that happens to me, obviously I should dump all the power out of that into my others. But there's a lot of sort of tactical wrinkles that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, but I'm thankful that the game is giving players the opportunity to do that. Fuck up. Just sit down.
What kind of audience do you think Star Citizen is aiming to draw in terms of like player types?
That's a really good
I
question.
mean, obviously they're going to try and do everything in theory, but
Well, so I mean, first of all, this is the guy that worked on like Wing Commander, and there's no question in any. I must have hit him. Oh shit. We're gonna do an exterior view of my ship in a second here, and it's gonna be ugly. But so yeah, so it's the Wing Commander crowd, but it's obviously like that whole. I don't think I have any engines left. Oh yeah, that's bad.
All allies lost.
a lack of engines would be bad.
Yeah, I don't, and I'm missing a couple of my RCS thrusters too. That's bad. And my right cannon. Okay. But so the Wing Commander crowd, the X-Wing, TIE Fighter, X-Wing versus that whole crowd, everybody that ever played Space Flight Sims back in the day, half the people that worked on those games are working on this game. So I think that first and foremost. But there was also a game back in the day that was actually it was a huge sleeper hit that he worked on as well, and it was called Freelancer. And it was absolutely one of my favorite games of all time. It was the first open galaxy game that I had ever played. You could, there were a number of different ships you could fly in. The ships were very customizable. You could upgrade all the different systems in them. And you had these
Zero
massive
hostile
systems
contacts remaining.
that had multiple planets and multiple belts, and you could go into, physical
Contact.
combat.
Elite units en route.
You could do all sorts of trading. There was a plot that you could pay attention to if you wanted to, but what it really reminded me of, and this is just nerdy as hell, but it really reminded me of the sort of open freeform gameplay of an Elder Scrolls game. You just happen to be a pilot, and so this is a combination of a spiritual successor to Wing Commander and Freelancer. And I'm on board because those are two of my favorite games of all time, but I think it's more than that, I think one of the things that none of those games ever really did was handle multiplayer in a satisfactory manner. You could do land combat that was 6v6 or 8v8 in X-Wing Alliance, and that was about it. And Freelancer kind of didn't really have a multiplayer at all. It felt like an image. It felt like an MMO archetype before there were real MMOs. It played like an MMO. It just played like a single player MMO. And I think what this is going...
Which is not really an MMO.
No, I mean, it wasn't, but if we keep in mind that this game came out in 2001 or something like that. It was before multiplayer gaming was recognized as a thing. I could go for some engines back, man. I would really like some engines. But so it had this crazy ambitious idea behind it, and I think what they're trying to do is get the MMO people who are cool, people that games like Eve, I think specifically, because you have that mercantile aspect, you have that min-maxing. But the difference is, of course, you also in this game, if you're going to do any combat in this game, I think you need to be pretty solid on your tactics or pretty high stick. And so I think they're going for the old school flight sim people and then the MMO. But you know, it's gonna be hard to say. Like they also sort of look like they're going after the hardcore squad shooter people. Have you seen the first person gameplay that they did from last year's GDC?
I've not seen the gameplay. I can actually pull it up right now while watching you talk. I've seen the trailer.
So there's an entire it's like 3 minutes of. I think you can actually just look up God, I don't have my target. Oh, they're all dead. Okay.
It looks like they did a demo of it, the FPS demo of it at PAX. This is
right.
from 2014.
Yes, that's correct. I have nothing. I am dead in the water. I have no targeting.
Has there been any mention about drones, whether repair, offensive, defensive?
You know,
that
I
kind of
actually
thing?
haven't heard anything about them except they're going to be in the game, and I think that's going to be. I think that's one of those things that they're taking the financial approach on. They always say things like, "Here's the deal: if we have enough money, we'll hire more people to do this." Would one of you please shoot me in the cockpit so that we can see the badass? Like, I want to see the thing that happens when they break into your cockpit, because it is just badass. I'm going to try and aim at a guy and see if I can get him in the cockpit. Stop turning. Just parking for... You guys are terrible. How am I not dead yet? But, yeah, they've mentioned that drones are in there, and that I know that there will be mining. And there should, I seem to remember some talk that there will be some at least some enemy types that are drones. I would assume that they'll be in the game. I mean, at this point they've got, it's the highest crowd-funded game ever, and it's approaching the highest funded game ever by any means. So...
Well, does funding, I mean, when we say funding, are we talking about also, like, games that were done with budgets, because technically a budget is funding, but not
right. But I mean
from a source that isn't a company allocating money for itself.
Sure, but what I mean specifically is when you talk about a game like Grand Theft Auto 5 that had $14 million in funding, that's what we're talking about. They're approaching that level. They're approaching funded by a massive publishing house. Can you see what's left of my ship right now?
We've got one wing, the engine is intact, just not working, and there goes an enemy ship just sliding past.
If I get into this view and then unlock mouse, yeah, I can. Okay, so it's my ball turret. And part of a wing. You know what? I'm gonna do.
Well, that's good to know, because and this is I don't think we've mentioned this. James is obviously a very much hardcore sim flying game. He's big on that. My interest in games like these has not been in terms of that, because I don't have a joystick right now at all. I'm not certainly jumping at the bit to go buy one. And in space games, in most games as a general rule, I tend to play more of a support, kind of not like a super intensive, knowing too much and being able to react too quickly kind of role in games like this. So James and I are planning on me being his gunner. And so it's good to know that in a ship like this, the ball turret is the thing that survives. It was really interesting, your hands just got cut off on the Twitch feed because you raised them above the camera and you're on your green screen.
I was really excited that someone finally killed me.
Yeah, so we're actually planning to run him as the pilot, music as a co-pilot setup. So it's good to know that I'll be safe when the ship is falling apart, because I'll be in your ball turret.
Yeah, absolutely. That apparently is the toughest part of the entire ship at this point. I've lost...
Which is good, because it's kind of the middle.
...of my HUD. Yeah, okay, so this is definitely still an alpha, but the thing is, I can see that I'm targeting, I see the point on the screen, I don't see... Yeah, there's no UI around the enemy ship.
Oh yeah. There's also no center reticle on you. There's no
There's not.
crosshairs or center of inertia.
Well, that's gonna make this tougher. We're gonna see how well I can do with that. It'd be easier if I could see the ship approach. Yeah, that holy shit is tough. Ow! Well, I'm still hitting stuff. I don't know which part of him is him though. See, the confusing thing when you don't have a marker on him is you don't know what you shot off and what's still left. Oh man, definitely playing this game on hard mode. Alright, so what I think I might actually do, because this is bugged out, is go ahead and pop out and get a real multiplayer match. As I do that, I'm going to show you the eject in this game, which is super fun.
Stand by for reintegration.
Oh, but what I want to do is fly around. Yay! I'm flying around in space. I got my gun out. Hey, come here. Come here. Come here.
Yeah, kind of like a last chance for revenge against the enemies.
That's sweet. And see.
So, oh wow, I just think I anticipate something for what this game will be. Is that there will be eject, no scope headshots on enemy pilots. There will be the 360 no scope headshots from Call of Duty. There'll be montages of those.
No scope. Right. The other ship has.
And then
no
shoot the
shields.
pilot out of the enemy ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. What the cool thing about this does indicate, though, and this is going to be the case in the persistent universe, is note I'm not. It's only saying press X to respawn right now because of the game mode that I'm in, but I would need right now to make a very hard decision about whether or not to turn on a beacon on my suit and hope I got picked up by someone. Or what I would do in real life, obviously, is call one of my friends that owns the game and say, "Hey, I need you to get to here, where I am."
Yeah. Timer on oxygen in your tank. I suppose they might be adding something like that.
I mean, they did indicate like that is something you do have to deal with in the FPS mode. They've said that. I don't see any indication of it right now. And what I'm kind of trying to do is spin my helmet so fast that I can see something I'm not supposed to see. But no, I don't. I think it's weird that none of them have attacked me. But I mean, obviously I'm just not a threat. I'm falling towards the planet. So that's depressing. Oh boy. I wonder if I can.
Is the limit of the like zone for the AI battle before you reach the planet?
Well, we're gonna find out one of two things, and one is whether or not I'm either gonna hit the zone, the planet, or the laser in front of me. I suspect hitting the laser in front of me will be more entertaining because I'm about 99% certain the zone is gonna end well before that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of try and move closer to both, and when I see the boundary for the zone, if I can stop myself before hitting the boundary, I'll just try and fly into the laser, because I really need to see what happens when you do that. There's a funny little effect that happens with the gun when you pull that trigger. I wonder what that. Oh boy, I'm moving way too fast now. I'm moving with gravity. That's scary. Oh god. Oh god. I can't back off. Oh god. I can't do anything to back myself off. Oh god. Oh god.
I mean, you were gonna hit it anyway, so.
Whoa! Oh boy. Okay. So there you go. There's that. Oh, and so that's a pretty like decent close-up look at the Vandal Scythe. The Vandals are an enemy faction in this game. I'm not really sure much about them personally. The ships are kind of neatly asymmetric and kind of creepy looking. They got kind of a like they kind of like a Cylon vibe, sort of. They have cockpits, though. You can see that they had cockpits in the shot. I'm going to take a 10-second break. I will be right back. So that was way more like 20 seconds, but that's the load screens in this game, man. Okay, so anything like thoughts, overviews, impressions, questions for you, Taylor, after that?
I like the new physics model. I like that it adds that. I like that I think the game's going in the right direction. It's a sign that they're taking this game seriously. They seem. I've not been following their promise on updates. Have they been sticking to track with that? Because I know that with crowdfunding games, obviously there's a lot of concern about getting stiff or things not going in at all. But it doesn't seem like this game is going to do that because they seem certainly more legitimate than your average Kickstarter campaign for a game.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I've noticed is that it has about the most regular update system of any crowdfunded game I've ever seen. So I've actually done crowdfunding for very few games, like relatively, for Pillars of Eternity, for Torment, the Tides of Numenera title, and for this one. So those are the three games that I was willing to like pay for before they were out in terms of development. And obviously Pillars of Eternity turned out really well. Everybody was really happy about it. But one of the things that people had sort of concerns about is that we didn't get as many updates on it as I think a lot of people wanted. You get like one update a month, and this has a meet a developer update once a week or twice a week. It has 10 for the chairman, which are 10 questions from the community directly to Chris Roberts, who's the guy that runs that functionally like is in charge.
Roberts Space Industries.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of why they named it that. So you've got that, and then you've got artist updates once a week or so, wherein the concept artist will show a new piece. They'll do ship updates once every 2 weeks. They'll announce a new ship, or they'll announce a redesign for a ship. These guys have never been behind on anything. Now, part of the reason they've never been behind on anything is because a lot of times what they'll do, like with the FPS module that we've been talking about, they won't give you an exact date. They'll be like, it'll be out, sometime in between spring and summer. And that's what they've said, and I'm sure that it will be out sometime this month, next month, or the month after that. But for instance, the patches, like the time between 1 point. No, I want to get off. That didn't hurt me. Which was surprising. But so the difference between the 1.1.0 patch and the 1.1.1 patch was a week. These guys do updates, and they do them on the regular. So one of the things that I am actually going to do really quick, just because I will be playing online here, is we're going to go down to medium. Not necessarily because I think I need to, but because I kind of want to give everybody, you know what? Actually, I'm gonna go all the way down to low so that we can get like a good idea of the difference between the high and low settings, and also to give me the best opportunity to do something against actual. I did actually want to raise another point. So that new physics model that allows us to do that crazy thing where someone's on our tail and we stop and spin around and shoot them. The problem with that is knowing when someone's on your tail before it's too late. Because I'm sure that if you know that someone's on your tail before it's too late, you might be able to do something about it. But I would think most of the time you'll be dead before you can even think. So, what we're looking at here, the different modes. So, Cooperative and Dual Swarm, which is what I just did, just with other players. Race. And there is racing in this game. I don't think we've touched on that yet. There is racing. And it's, you can sort of see it in the little circle up here, the little iris circle. That expands when it's the right one, and you basically just rush through gates. And it is much harder than it looks. It is very difficult because of the way the inertia on these crafts handle. Like, it just, and the faster it is, the tougher it is. So Battle Royale is essentially a free-for-all, and then once you hit the target score, you have to get the last kill. Capture the Court is like a area capture mode, combined with the capture the flag mode. It's really weird. It's very complex. I might do a little bit of it later just to wrap my head around it, but Squadron Battle is the one that I prefer. And so I have the option to take any of the 2 starter ships or the high-end space superiority fighters, so that's a duh.
And there's no cost for repairs or anything from these ships, at least at this stage of the game, correct?
Not at this stage, and that should be a thing in the persistent world. So the game is going to be released as there's a persistent world that's going to function like an MMO. There's going to be a aspect, it's called Squadron 42, and it is a very direct homage to Wing Commander and X-Wing. It's just like mission-based, like military flight simulator base. And that's a separate campaign. And I don't have any information on whether or not that's going to be connected or co-op. It better be. It better be. But they haven't, I don't think they've said. So in the and then there's going to be like adversarial multiplayer like what we're doing right here. So in Persistent World, you lose your ship. There's insurance. And the insurance, if you buy it as a backer, some of it's like the first 6 months you have just free insurance period on every ship you own. But in the game, it will cost in-game currency. So you can choose whether or not to insure your ship, much like an EVE. And if you lose it, it's tough. And there will be different levels of insurance, etc., etc. So when this loads in, and
Squadron battle
shows a little bit of a
initiated.
delay, look at the visuals and tell me if you can see that much of a difference between low and very high. Because I mean, there's some. I guess there's a little bit of difference in terms of some lighting, and I guess there might be in terms of... There's only one guy in this with me.
Nothing's jumping out to me yet. Maybe the edges of the cockpit a little bit,
Yeah,
but
a little bit of jaggy. So I'm going to put my money where my mouth was with regard to using the environment. And I'm going to try and approach him through this field here. Get a lock on him before he realizes I'm here. Yeah, shut up. I know I'm about to run into something. Get out there. Yeah, this guy's like AFK or some shit, but I don't really care. I'll take it.
yeah.
Oh! I expected that to fall apart. It did not. Oh! That was a missile hit. Yeah, that was bad. I was so focused on getting that first kill.
Ooh, goodness. Yeah. Oh, you ran right into him.
Just wait in a second when it gets really stressful and he drops. Some guy literally just dropped 6
Stand
missiles on
by
me.
for reintegration.
Well, I think it was. Well, wow, yeah, your ship's beat up. I thought it was the guy you were like charging right in on. So I saw missiles like fly out from him right when you got close.
You'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Where's?
All right. Oh.
What the fuck is he in? I don't even recognize that shit. There he is.
So there was another guy just hiding. Looks
Yeah,
like.
there was another guy that was waiting on me. And that's one of the things about the profiles in this game, like the heat profiles.
Mm-hmm.
They matter. This thing is fast. I think I got it. Oh! God. He dropped some missiles on me, like, right as we got, like, right next to each other. Yeah, there we go. That, you dick. Oh, this is gonna get bad.
Now, have you used missiles at all?
Yep.
Okay. Ooh. Do they have to be? If I'm correct me wrong, missiles are unguided, correct? They're
Missiles
dumb.
are guided, space bombs are unguided, and torpedoes
Okay.
are mildly guided.
Right. Okay.
So
then
you're watching.
could
missiles
he have a
from
lock
that.
on you, turn away from you, and then like throw or like fire the missiles, and then they will like turn around and hit you?
Yeah. You just gotta be close enough to keep a lock.
Yeah.
So,
Which, if you're chasing him, you're kind of doing for him.
yeah.
Yeah, his ship does look interesting.
Where is the one that I've got targeted? There he is. Let's strafe a little bit here. So I'm going to drop a lot of missiles on this guy because I don't see any reason not to. I'm going to die really quickly in this mode in general. Jesus, God. He dropped all... Okay, so that's going to be a thing I don't like. I think he locked 8 on me in a row. And that's how he got me.
Stand by for reintegration.
Alright, so we're gonna see what that tactic looks like. He keeps
Jesus.
running into asteroids.
Wow.
Yeah, you just saw what just happened, right?
Yeah.
That was rough. What are we doing here? Alright, so 1, he's 2 and 2. Yeah, I'm just gonna do that right back to him. Why am I not spawning in yet? Don't drive into it. Why am I not spawning in?
I guess in this mode, because you die and you respawn, there's of munitions, or like running out of ammo.
Which is precisely why he's doing the thing where he's locking 8 missiles and just dropping them all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually that's a shitty tactic, and I don't like it, but it would totally work. And I guess it means that I need to use a chaff against this guy instead of just flares. I really want to spawn back in, and I don't know what's happening. It's an alpha. Yes, this is...
You're getting a good view of his ship. Did he just land?
I think he's... Hold on. He's hovering. I don't...
Looks like he's just... Okay.
He's... Yeah, he's...
Well, now you know how he got the drop on you.
Yeah. He's hanging out up here waiting.
So
Go ahead.
these in this multiplayer mode, do they just exist as like lobbies of just ongoing battles that you can hop in and out of, or are they like sessions that start right when there's enough people?
That start and end, and you're right, he has actually managed to land up there now. That'll come through in there. There's a really good view of that, with the exception of the fact that the front gear is not touching the ground at all. But you know, hey, it's an alpha. Can I
Oh yeah, sure enough.
I would love to spawn back in. That would be awesome. I like this game and I'd like to play it.
I take it there's also no chat system yet for in battles, or
You know what? I actually don't know. Console. Scoreboard. I sure don't see any sort of chat system.
probably for the best.
Yeah, it probably is. It probably is. Because he'd be going, Hugh, 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 8 missiles, Hugh, Hugh, Hugh. I really don't want to quit out of this game. God, so, but we are getting some, let's talk about this for a little bit. So you're getting an amazing look at the RCS system and the engine system. Like, this game does an incredible job trying to deal with reality. And the Hornet here, which is the ship that he's flying, it's the one that I'm flying too, is one of the oldest models in the game and is therefore one of the ones that's been the most polished. And it just looks so kick-ass in space. You can see the inertial spin there. He's gone into decoupled mode. He's kicked back out of it. Like, this is, I don't like this bug, but this is a really good opportunity to talk about the physics. He's being clever, hiding in this little area here. He's shutting down so that you can't target him. And this is the kind of tactics in this game that kind of differentiate it from games like, you know, Wing Commander and X. Going into ambush, shutting your shields down, powering your systems down, etc., will be beneficial to you. Now, just deciding willy-nilly to spin up chain guns like that, I don't know if that's... Wait, where the fuck did he get those? Those are chain guns. I don't...
Perhaps rental something on the marketplace?
I think it is,
He's shooting at something.
yeah, I think it is doubtless that he did. I'm seeing there are 8 missiles on both sides. He's got 2 chain guns. He's got the lower set. He left. Dude, I'd love to spawn back in. Yeah, everybody's left because this game is bugged. So I'm gonna try to get in mode. No, that was a crash.
So how do you think, how will these this, like, you know, for lack of a better term, PvP mode, these battles, how will they be handled in the persistent universe? Will it be simply a different menu you select from, like, the start, or you go to a particular station that has this whatever service and blah blah blah? How are they gonna make that exist in the world?
That's a really great question, and like from what I understand right now, it will be available as a part of what we're kind of doing right now. So Arena Commander is it's you in a simulation in the ship that you have. So there will be those stations, and that's what it is. It's a sim station, but within a station. So you'll be able to dock on a station and then just dogfight it out with whoever you want to, you know, willy-nilly without any sort of negative consequences in the world. So that's one way that you can do it on a station. I would be very surprised if they didn't follow the approach that they are currently following wherein you can also just hit the escape button wherever you are and go into Arena Commander and do it that way, so that people who just want to play multiplayer can just play some multiplayer. So that will definitely be like two of the ways that I think they'll do it. I would be very surprised if in the persistent universe there aren't things that are like battlegrounds that are like that are, you know, I mean, essentially this is going to be a game with hundreds of systems with hundreds of worlds. And if it is a true sequel to Freelancer, there will be many factions, and there will be the opportunity for just freeform PvP. If you choose to play in a connected sense, as opposed to playing in like a solo AI world. So on station from a menu, and then, you know, if you wanna risk being a nut, you can do real world PvP. The real world PvP obviously has consequences, faction bounties, and then, you know, losing your shit. So that said, you know, there's so much more that they could do with it. And at this point, you know, the question is really how much money are they going to make and how long are they going to keep it in development?
Yeah.
And incidentally, so like, did you watch all of that first-person video, the first-person demo?
Yeah. I mean, it I don't know. It looked okay. I mean, it definitely, like we mentioned, like the hardcore squad. It definitely did look like that, which was not something I'd recalled it looking like. Which, I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
But you're talking like,
yeah,
sort of
really this game. I think more of it's going to be about people are going to get into it for the space stuff than like for the first-person shooter modes.
No, I agree with you totally. It was really interesting to me when they showed it that it was like all this, like, you know, alpha squad, reach point B and hold, and then like it seemed like it reminded me so very much of the original Rainbow Six. Just like really detailed.
Well, for the uneducated sense being me, it looks like any Rainbow Six.
Yeah, just like really detailed squad-oriented stuff. And like, I wonder how much of that is AI, etc. But one of the holy shit! All right, what the? Okay, you're gonna see that in a second. I spawned in and just flat out got rammed the second I spawned.
Stand by for reintegration.
Oh man, that was dumb. All right, so that was Hayden. Where's some of this shit?
Oh goodness! Wow.
Yeah, just. I didn't even know he's there. I need something to target heal. Where are you?
And so James, talk about you mentioned that, you know, what you're in is what's called the closed beta, correct?
Yeah.
And then there is an alpha where people who paid more or at a certain level have access to other kinds of ships and stuff.
Sure.
Talk about what you know about those, about, you know, the ships that you can't show us right now, but that are out there that you will be coming down the line.
That's actually a really good point. So first and foremost, like what I'm in is Arena Commander and the beta for this game. And Arena Commander is the persistent multiplayer mode in this game. You essentially, you can just like jump into any sort of match that you want. There is currently, for subscribers as well as very early backers, a mode. God, this thing is fast. There's an alpha, a persistent world alpha, and the persistent world alpha is already like teasing with elements of the open world. And then also has, God, this thing is fast. Okay, I'm switching.
I'm looking at how far the lead is. When you fire, it's really ahead of it.
Oh God. Okay. So that was me bouncing off an asteroid, you know, just in case it wasn't super clear. There's already a persistent world alpha. Like you can already, if you're one of those subscribers, and subscribers pay something like it's like 10 or 15 bucks a month, they gain access to a lot of shit though. Like they get a couple of different ships just for free, and then they get the ability to rent the most expensive ships so basically rentals work for like 7 days, and you get to play with the ship for 7 days, and they get enough to rent the most expensive ship 4 times. So they basically can just have whatever the most expensive ship is and fly it. So that's the first aspect. But some of those people are also in a persistent world alpha, which means they're already experiencing the open world version of the game, and they're already experiencing ships that we don't have. And so most of the ships that are currently in Arena Commander are 1 or 2 seater fighters. There are a number of ships in this game. I specifically purchased this one because this is a 2-seater. This is one of like 2 or 3 of those. There's some that are 4 and 8 and 10 ships, and like 10-seater ships. The Constellation, the Connie, is the one, and the Connie is just it's a monster. That's a kill. Okay, that's 2 in like 20 minutes. Ugh. So the Connie is a big old 4-seater. She's an exploration ship. She can be outfitted for combat. She can be outfitted for a lot of things. But mostly, and that's the one that most people have access to that other people don't. And you're talking like, one person's the pilot, one person's handling the guns, one person's handling the sensor systems, one person, God, that ship is fast, and one person is handling power systems, etc. So there are people that are already able to field a crew of 4 and roll around in a persistent universe, and that just kind of requires a large cash output. You know, you spend $225 on a ship.
Enemy core picked up.
And like that's a lot, but you know, I mean, to be totally honest with you, I think I've spent about 160 at this point with 2 ships. Or they're spending 15 bucks a month, but they're already tooling around the systems that are there. They're already messing around with the Star Marine Alpha, and Star Marine is the first-person element of it. So you know, and we're talking about like crazy stuff. Like we're not talking about like little ships. The Connie is probably the one that most people like are familiar with. It's based on the ship from Prometheus. Looks a little bit like it. Really big, 4 engines, really shiny, wide open front cockpit. But there are already people who are tooling around with the Idris, which is like a 10 super early alpha, and you know that's something I really would like to do, but I'm just not into the idea of spending $360 a year on a game that isn't out yet.
Yeah.
I wanted that kill. Did you have any specific questions about what they're doing, or?
Well, since you've seen a ship that you didn't recognize, is there a chance that, I mean, I imagine they probably keep the closed alpha people with other closed alpha people. Is there a chance that you're seeing any of those equipment or ships in this mode that you're in right now with the PvP?
So it's definitely not an impossibility. One of the things that they do, you know, we've already talked a little bit about the fact that they are, oh my god, brakes. Wow. Okay, that's going on a highlight reel. That was beautiful. No, you'll see it. I just threaded a needle. So every month or so, a new ship that is supposed to be, that like has been in beta or alpha or something to that effect, will be released into the mode above it. So like, I recently, I had the Origin 300 series before, and I was flying the 300 until they released the full model for the 325, which is what I had, and that had been in alpha for a while, and that was released into beta. So, I'm actually not sure. I haven't checked recently. Yeah, you're dead.
Has your call.
I died too. I think the Constellation might be in beta as of right now. But so like they're adding ships. They launch ships in the alpha and they let people tool around with them, and then if they're working okay and they're not broken, they shift them into the beta. And they do that seriously on the regular. There have been 2 or 3 ships. I think it's 2 ships this month. There's a ship that's very similar to this, the Gladiator, which is a fighter bomber that's been in alpha for a really long time, that just came into the multiplayer beta, and that launched. So, you know, that sort of thing does happen. I don't know when we're going to get to see the really big ships. I think that's going to be for whenever the persistent world goes into beta, because I just don't think they have the kind of, you can't fit them into this universe right now. Like, there wouldn't be room.
The enemy has captured your core.
And didn't you say have the? I think you mentioned earlier that they're working with different hangars, obviously for different size ships. Have they released a variety of hangars yet in the beta yet?
Absolutely. So you've got like the low end hangar, which is actually what I have, because again, there are things I'm willing to pay money for, and there are things I'm not. And a fancy hangar.
Right.
No, this is still an alpha, like an alpha beta. I use different terminology, but the game really, it's just not, like, it doesn't feel like a beta. You've seen the kind of bugs it has.
Yeah.
So, I haven't purchased it, but there are 2 much higher end hangars that are available for purchase right now. And depending on what backer platform you have, how much you're willing to spend, you can get a much nicer hangar. The hangars are larger, they have different features. As it stands right now, like, there's not a whole lot in the way of difference, but the ultimate sort of like end game is that when you have a bigger ship, you need a bigger hangar. When you have a big enough ship, you don't need a hangar because you've got a ship that's your hangar.
Sure.
And obviously, I think that's going to be a lot of people's goals. But you know, one of the things I'm going to be really interested to see is just how different and how effective the... Stop trying to ram me, guy. Is like how the difference in effectiveness between an AI crewed large ship and like a regular. Like
the enemy has captured your core.
In it. I lost my thrusters. I think I have absolutely lost my thrusters. Yeah, I did. I had no control there. But yeah, I think we'll see the larger ships.
Stand by for reintegration.
Decide to launch the persistent world beta, which should be a little bit later this year. I think they're saying.
Do you think that with the persistent world, with the larger ships you mentioned that they're acting as hangars, short of parking them next to what I imagine there will be, AI controlled like NPC stations, NPC like docking platforms, short of parking it next to like a NPC defended area, is there a chance that players could attack a ship while the crew would all be offline? Do you think that would be something that they would have?
So the world is persistent and it doesn't sleep, and that's one of the things that they promised about this game. I would imagine, given that we are dealing with a game that doesn't sleep, that has a hangar system, that the only safe way to secure the smaller ships is to park them in the hangar and leave them there. And if you don't do that, you're setting the ship up for risk. I would imagine that they will go this route specifically, that there will be the equivalent of a star dock, or the equivalent of a berth at a station that you can park your larger ships, and that when you sidle up to this berth and die,
Has captured your core.
the ship would be safe, or at least defended by the AI station when you log off. But that if you leave it in space, that it would be at risk for whatever wants to come at it.
On space, or perhaps on a like non-player controlled kind of maybe NPC like rogue faction level kind of planet. So like if you are really kind of pushing limits of space, exploring in your well, what was the name of the big ship? Sorry again.
There's an Idris. The frigate is the Idris P, and then the Connies are the exploration.
Right, the Connie. Yeah, it was the one you had the nickname for.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you were exploring a new planet in a constellation, you had landed, you parked it there. If you, maybe someone could attack it.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things that I'm really excited to see specifically about the Connie, is because that is. There are 4 different models of it. The one that everybody's most excited about is the exploration version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there are large worlds, there are persistent worlds that are alien that you're exploring. And the Connie is small enough that you can actually land it on it. You could land it there and leave it. And I wonder if you land it and leave it there, are you going to get torn up by monsters that live on that planet? Could someone strafe by and steal it? And I think I would feel very weird personally if they didn't have a system where if you don't make a good choice about where you're leaving it, that it could easily get destroyed. Especially given the fact that we're dealing with a game that has had at its core from the beginning an insurance system. I think the ships need to be very easily lost. And I think that definitely heightens the sort of intensity of the title. That makes it more thing. And from everything that we've seen, I mean, it's definitely a title where they're interested in creating that kind of hardcore gameplay. So I would be very surprised if there weren't, like both AI and sort of player-based consequences for actions like that. So what I did, I actually disconnected out of that last game because I had lost my ship and I wasn't able to spawn back in. Okay, that's fun. That's an alpha. Is there another multiplayer mode you want me to go through? Is there another one you wanted to see?
Well, I mean, I would say the race is going to be so different from what we've seen thus far. If you are feeling up to trying one, that would be a little bit of variety from just the combat ones we've seen earlier.
Actually, because it is the way that it is. And I'm going to use it to showcase the last ship. The one that we haven't really dealt with yet. The RSI Aurora, which is the sort of flagship of the game thus far. And I'm going to go ahead and do it on the largest raceway, so that we have some stuff to talk about. So this is both a multiplayer mode and then something that's part of the game. One of the more interesting and sort of clever ads that they did for any of the ships in the game was a send up of Top Gear. So every single ship that's released that you can purchase is accompanied with an ad, and there's one for the freelancer that's basically like it's Sam. Oh God, what's his name? Cowboy Sam with the mustache, who's in every cowboy movie ever.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Sam, he's basically the Marlboro man. The commercial for the freelancer,
not Sam Waterson,
is basically him doing like a Chevy truck ad. And then the ad for the Origin Jump Works is like watching a Lexus ad. And then the ad for the Origin M50 is basically like future Jeremy Clarkson talking about the M50 on Space Top Gear. And that's hilarious, and you should absolutely watch that video. It's totally brilliant. But it indicates like that is a
Initiating
ship
Murray Cup practice
in the
simulation.
game that is specifically built for something called the Murray Cup, which is an in-engine
3, 2,
race, and
1,
this will
go.
be an entire aspect of the engagement. So this is an example. This is not the fastest ship, and I did that on purpose because
Checkpoint.
are hard and kind of scary. So
Stand by for reintegration.
I did just slam off that. So there you go. So the races are through these like just insanely labyrinthic, like nuts
Checkpoint.
urban areas. You don't really ever feel like you know where you're going. And I think in this, like the faster ships are they're definitely going to be useful. But I think the ones that
Checkpoint.
have the genuinely tight turning radiuses and don't slide a lot, like, I don't know if you just saw that, you'll see it in a couple of seconds here. Ships that slide have no chance of doing anything at all. You can't slide. If you slide, you're off the line.
Oh, jeez, wow.
Yeah. So this
Yeah.
is the this is not the world's best ad for the RSI Aurora, but this is the starter ship. It's supposed to be mercantile. It is obviously not very maneuverable. I think I just broke everything on the ship. I think I did just rip my cannons off. Let me get out of here.
Well, it's a race. You don't need cannons.
Right, exactly. So there we go. I needed. Oh no, I've lost. Oh, that's why I was having so much trouble. I can't do anything. I'm missing some sort of like RCS system read, so we're gonna go ahead and eject from third person to see what that looks like. Oh no, we're not, because I'm not allowed to eject in this mode for some reason. That's weird. Yeah, no, this
Probably because you'd hit something.
this is broken. I'm trying. I literally have no control over it, and I can't eject. Maybe I can? Does this ship not have an ejector seat? That's probably not safe right there. This is the worst. I don't even know how I respawn in this mode. We're gonna figure out what key it is to eject, or maybe I can just get out of it.
Just floating off the track.
Right,
No
and
big deal.
that's all that's happening right now. There we go. So Alt L. Let's see if maybe it's the input. No, this ship literally has no ejector. I thought maybe that my key binding had gotten messed up somehow, like my joystick binding, but that's not. I have no control over it, so I'm gonna try and slam into something. What do you do when you don't have an ejector seat in one of these things?
Well, I suppose in the race mode you might just have to leave and restart.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening right now. I don't have the ability. I don't have the ability to do anything. That was enough to show you the race mode. If it's not incredibly obvious that that's not going to be my strong suit, and that's definitely not going to be the ship to use in that mode. I actually like that ship a lot. It's flimsy, and it's basically going to be for exploration. It has really good sensors, and it's got a really good cargo hold for its size, and it's the starter ship. And so that'll be useful for persistent world in a lot of ways, but not so much in that race mode. So the race mode, it is very fast, and you have to have one of the ships that doesn't drift. You have to deal with your velocity in a very careful manner. And I wasn't really successful in that, except in the Origin 300, which is something I upgraded away from, so I don't have it anymore. That was one of the ships that was built for turn and burn. It had no drift. It was very quick. It had very strong thrusters. And I guess that could be fun. I think it would be way more fun if it were more... If it was a more like combat-oriented race mode. But I have the feeling that that will be frowned upon.
Not gonna be any Mario Kart of Star Citizen World.
Right, exactly. So this is right here. I don't think I can zoom into it too much, but this is the Connie. This is a poster of her that you get for being a backer, and that shows the 4 different modes, and those are from like $170 to like $250. 4-seater, really pretty. There's a luxury mode that basically looks like a Bond villain's yacht. There's an exploration, there's a trade, and there's a patrol ship. And so one of the neat things that they do, you know, you can buy like little additional factors. Right now, that's a model of the Mustang Alpha, and you can have little like ship models in your thing. This is a fish tank. I don't know what I'm supposed to put in my fish tank because I have no fish, and that might be something I explore at some point in the future, but not so much right now. There's also a locker that I'm trying to find to open up, which is going to be eventually the place where you can customize the appearance of your like in-game avatar. Might be over here. But so you'll be able to do like you know, a lot of stuff with that. And this is what I'm talking about. So if I had an additional set of weapons, I would be able at this point to mount one of these on a ship or not. You know, like choose I can go through the power plants as well as and then customize everything. And also presumably camos, which I don't have. So one of the things that they're doing, I mean, you can sort of tell by the way they handle this interface. Everything is supposed to be a first-person universe. And I really like the idea of that. I really like the idea of the immersion that gives you. The only concern I have is that I feel like unless they find ways to let you shortcut around in the world, that is going to get kind of tedious over time when you're just trying to go do I found that boop over. And then up come your space boots, and your other space boots, and your space sleeveless gloves, and your space holster, and then I literally have no idea what that thing is. I have no. But so yeah, that's a pretty decent overview, and it's obviously going to be a very ambitious title, and I think it's going to be really hard to say just how good it's going to be until we get to see a little bit more of it. But I really like the direction that it's going in. I'm really excited about what it's doing. But yeah, so closing thoughts, Taylor?
No, I mean, thank you. That was one comprehensive hell of a look at Star Citizen for, you know, everyone.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good place to start, and what we're going to do, you know, as time goes by, obviously this is... I think it would be difficult to say that this isn't the most ambitious game in a really long time. And I think it is a game that a lot of people are really excited about, so I think we're going to spend a lot of time covering it. I'm going to try and make me sick of this game. So every time we get a major update, you know, every time we get like a new ship, that's something that we have access to. Certainly when the first person mode comes out, certainly when the persistent mode comes out, and at the release we'll be covering it. But Yeah, I think that's a good place to stop for tonight. I wanted to thank you, Taylor, very much for providing insight, commentary, and then questions on this. Thanks a lot for that. I think that's useful.
And everyone look forward to this Friday. We are going to have coverage of the Star Wars Festival, which is also going to have the reveal of Battlefront coverage. Or Battlefront something. We don't know if it's going to be gameplay or a new trailer or what, but we will be talking about it.
Yeah. What we're going to do, it's going to be this Friday. Is it Friday? It's the 17th. What day is that? That's Friday.
Yes, that is this Friday.
So
that is
this Friday, the 17th, at 10:30 PST, which is 1:30 our time. Right? That's right. Yeah, that's right. We're going to be live just a little bit before that. We're going to be doing live blogs, and then covering it, and we'll try and provide a video feed as well as that. But yeah, and so hopefully we're going to get to see some snow speeders and some X-Wings and some Jedis and some Boba Fett, and I'm very excited about that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We really hope to see you this Friday.